chatter about this right here. This is a 283 Chevy engine, pre-67. Has a Corvette valve covers on it, which I like. It is, these manifolds won't stay with it. I'll use the ones in the Rambler. This is the one before they had those PCV valves and all that stuff built into the valve covers. You've got the oil, you poured your oil in the front of the engine right here. This is actually a 2-barrel with a cast iron intake manifold. I like this engine. This is strictly old school stuff right here. And you know, nowadays when you go to a car show, you look at an engine, it's going to be a 350 Chevy or a 355 or a 383. It's going to be all chromed up. Going to have an Edelbrock or some other kind of aluminum intake on it, big giant 4-barrel carburetor, blah 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 blah, all that stuff. I'm old enough to remember when 283 was a hot little motor, and you talk to anybody that's ever had one, they'll tell you that. And a little 283 2-barrel like that, you'd be surprised how much power you can get out of one like that. That's what I always really wanted in the Rambler. And I prayed about what to do with the Rambler because I just really wasn't getting any response. I had it out there for sale, but man, people weren't even asking about it. So I thought, what do I do with it? Do I just push it in the woods or take the Kragers off and grab all the parts I can use and just leave it sit somewhere? It's like, I hate to do that. You know, that's a car that I saved from getting destroyed by a teenager 15, 20 years ago. And I always thought that'd be a cool car to have a little 283 in. Well, I prayed about what to do with this. The next morning I got up and looked on Marketplace, and this 283 was for sale. And he was asking less for it than I made by selling all the old Chevy parts I had. And that's not counting those expensive heads. You know, just the old blocks and old heads and stuff like that, crankshafts and such. So I take that as a win. I'm going to put it in there. It's an engine that someone had built and put it in a 55 Chevy, and then they decided they wanted one of them big fancy new LS motors. So they had a guy doing the work, and he was preparing it, and he said, well, would you just sell me this motor? And he said, yeah, I'll sell it. Knock it off what I'm going to owe you for all this work. So he was familiar with the car, familiar with the motor. He ran it, and we talked about it. I got it sitting in my garage now. So the plan is I'm going to keep right on doing what I'm doing with this Boston Whaler. I'm going to get it finished, and I'm going to get the trailer finished, and get it out of here where I can start enjoying it in the lake. And this is going to sit in this corner until the right time. And actually a good time to do that kind of work is actually in the fall. So I might not rush into doing much of anything with that except letting it sit there and waiting for time to pass, with the idea that when the time is right, I'll ease that down into that Rambler again, and then I'll have a running Rambler. What happens after that is open to debate. I might decide once I have that motor in there just to keep it, or I might decide once I have that motor in there just to sell it. But one way or another, we're going to get the Rambler going again. That's the plan. That's my plan. That's the only plan I got for now. So other than that, for today, I'm going to start doing some fiberglass work on all these holes and dings and bad places on this boat, and we'll see how that goes.